Good morning. Welcome to the lecture series of operating system. Second unit in operating system is process synchronization. In the second unit, the following topics will be covered: the critical section problem, Peterson's solution, synchronization hardware, semaphores, monitors, classic problems of synchronization. So in today's class, we try to discuss about the background of the process synchronization and the requirements to the solutions to the process synchronization. So the objectives of the second unit is to introduce the critical section problem whose solutions can be used to ensure the consistency of shared data. So first we need to understand what is a critical section. A critical section is nothing but, already we know that a process is nothing but the program under execution. A program consisting of a set of statements based on the complexity of the program. Some programs may consisting 100 statements, some may be the 1000 statements. In those statements, a few set of statements are modifying the shared data. The shared data is nothing but the data can be accessed by more than one process. The shared data is nothing but the data can be accessed by more than one process. So already we know that a data can be accessed by more than one process. It is called as a shared data. And next we try to discuss about what is a critical section. A critical section is nothing but a set of instructions in the program where they are modifying the shared data. So for example, a program consisting 100 instructions, in those 100 instructions, a few, it may be the 5 or the 10 instructions are modifying the shared data. Those instructions are called as a critical section. And the remaining instructions, the remaining 95 instructions are called as the remainder section. That remainder section not modifying the shared data. So what is the critical section problem? If there is more than one process, try to modify the shared data, then there may be the possibility of the data inconsistency. So it creates the consistency problems will be arised. So we will discuss with one example. We are assuming that there are the two processes we need to perform. Example is, we are assuming that Mr. Kumar is a bank account and his balance is 1 lakh rupees. Kumar is a bank account, his balance is the 1 lakh rupees. And Kumar want to purchase one online product. Its cost is 50,000 rupees and he want to transfer the 50,000 rupees from Kumar account to the merchant account through online transaction. So automatically Kumar needed to transfer 50,000 rupees from his account to the merchant account. So whenever he need to perform the transaction to transfer the amount, it requires a set of instructions. We are assuming that process assumption is P1. We are assuming that P1 is a process. It simply transfers the 50,000 rupees from Kumar account to the merchant account. Next we are assuming that Sunil is the Kumar friend and he want to transfer 1 lakh rupees from Sunil account to the Kumar account. So Sunil is a Kumar friend and he want to transfer 1 lakh rupees from Sunil account to the Kumar account. So this is also a set of instructions. We are assuming that it is a process P2. And P1 process, what it need to perform? It simply deduct the 50,000 rupees from Kumar account, that is Kumar balance need to be reduced 50,000 rupees. Those 50,000 need to be added to the merchant account balance. So automatically the P1 process needed to modify the Kumar account balance. Similarly, P2 process need to deduct 1 lakh rupees from Sunil account. Those 1 lakh needed to be added to the Kumar account only. So automatically we are assuming that P1 process needed to deduct 50,000 rupees from the Kumar account and P2 process needed to add 1 lakh rupees to the Kumar account. So based on these two processes, what is the shared one? Kumar account is a shared data item. Kumar account balance is the shared data item that can be modified by the P1 and P2 processes. So what is our critical section problem? For example, we are assuming that these two processes are allowed to perform the modification of the Kumar balance at a time. For example, we are assuming that P1 and P2 processes. What is P1 process? It need to transfer 50,000 rupees from Kumar account to the merchant account, and P2 process is it need to transfer 1 lakh rupees from Sunil account to the Kumar account. These two processes are started at the same time, so automatically the opening balance of the Kumar account for the P1 process is 1 lakh, and it try to deduct 50,000 and 50,000 is replaced into the Kumar account. Similarly, P2 process takes the Kumar balance is 1 lakh rupees and it try to add 1 lakh rupees, so the result is stored into the Kumar account. So we are assuming that these two processes are started at the same time and they take the Kumar balance is 1 lakh rupees, and if the P1 is completed first, 1 lakh 50,000 is deducted, the result 50,000 is placed into the Kumar balance, and P2 already taken the Kumar balance is 1 lakh and 1 lakh is added and the 2 lakhs is replaced. For example, if you are assuming that P1 is completed first, that is the Kumar balance is transferred from Kumar account to the merchant account is completed first it replaced with 50,000, later Sunil amount is deposited to the Kumar account, 2 lakhs is replaced in the place of 50,000, so he gets the 2 lakhs rupees. It is an incorrect result. The reason is we need to deduct 50,000 from 1 lakh and 1 lakh to be added. The result must be 1 lakh 50,000, but the Kumar is able to get the 2 lakhs. It is the incorrect value. For example, P2 is completed first. That is the Sunil account to the Kumar account transaction, the amount transfer is completed first. So the Kumar balance is replaced with 2 lakhs. Later P1 is completed. So automatically 50,000 is replaced. So the result we get the 50,000 only. Instead of 1 lakh 50,000, the Kumar balance is 50,000. Either the P1 is completed first and P2 is completed later. The Kumar balance is 2 lakhs, or P2 is completed first followed by P1. The Kumar balance is 50,000. Both are incorrect. The reason is these two processes are started at a time. For example, P1 is completed first. In the place of 1 lakh 50,000 is deducted. The result balance is 50,000. Later P2 is completed. 1 lakh is added for 50. Then we get 1 lakh 50,000. That is P1 completed first. Later P2 is completed. The Kumar balance is 1 lakh 50,000. Or P2 is completed first. That is 1 lakh is deposited. That is total 2 lakhs. Later P1 is completed. 50,000 is deducted. Then Kumar balance is 1 lakh 50. That is, if they are executing one after another, P1 after P2 or P2 after P1, the balance is 1 lakh 50,000. If both the transactions are started at a time, based on the order of completion, it may be 2 lakhs or it may be 50,000. Both are incorrect. That itself indicates that what is a critical section problem? If more than one process entered in the critical section at a time, there may be the possibility of the data inconsistency problems are existing. We need to overcome those inconsistency problems using the process synchronization solutions. So what is the first objective? To introduce the critical section problem. So the student is able to understand what is a critical section problem. That is nothing but more than one process try to modify the shared data, we get the data inconsistency. Whose the solution? So whatever the solutions we are providing for the critical section problem, it must ensure the consistency of the shared data. So whatever the problems are existing, those inconsistency problems must be eliminated. We need to allow the processes in some order. In this example, first we need to allow P1 followed by P2 or P2 followed by P1. Then we get the correct result 1,50,000. So that is the first objective of the process synchronization. And what is the second objective is, so the second objective of the process synchronization is to present both software and hardware solutions of the critical section problem. It is possible to provide the hardware solution as well as the software solution. After completion of this unit, the students are able to implement both the software as well as the hardware solutions for the process synchronization. So the objectives of the process synchronization is the student must be able to understand what is the critical section problem and how to provide the solutions. those solutions ensure the consistency of the shared data. That is the first objective. And it is possible to provide the software as well as the hardware solutions. After completion of this unit, the student is capable to provide both the software as well as the hardware solutions. So these are the objectives of the process synchronization. Now we try to discuss about the background of the process synchronization. Already we discussed it. What is the background? Concurrent access to shared data may result in data inconsistency. Already we discussed the example in the Kumar account. We are assuming that the balance is 1 lakh and he need to perform the one transaction is he need to transfer the amount 50,000 from his account to the merchant account, and his friend Sunil want to transfer 1 lakh from Sunil account to the Kumar account. We are assuming that these are the two processes are modifying the shared data Kumar balance. For that reason, whatever the modification instructions are existing, those are considered as the critical section. So concurrent access to shared data in the P1 and P2 processes may parallelly access the Kumar balance at a time. It results the data inconsistency. I hope you are understand that one. To overcome that one, what is the requirement? We need to provide the maintaining the data consistency requires mechanisms to ensure the orderly execution of cooperating processes. So here we need to discuss about the orderly execution. What is the orderly execution? Either the P1 is executed first followed by P2, or P2 is executed first followed by P1. And one more important one is orderly execution of cooperating processes. What is a process? Already we know what is a process. That is nothing but the program under execution. In the previous example, to transfer the amount from Kumar account to the merchant account, that is one process because it need to perform some of the instructions. That is the 50,000 need to be deducted from Kumar balance and the 50,000 need to be transferred to the merchant account. It requires a set of instructions that is considered as one process, and similarly we need to transfer the amount from Sunil account to the Kumar account. That is nothing but it need to deduct 1 lakh from the Sunil balance and the same 1 lakh need to be deposited or added to the Kumar balance. That is also with another process. So already we understood what is a process, but we need to understand cooperating process. What is the meaning of the cooperating process? At the time of execution, they are able to exchange the information, or they are able to decide which one is executed first, which one is executed later. Then those types of processes are called as the cooperative process. And another one is the independent process. What is the meaning of the independent process? That doesn't depend anything. It performs its own. It is not depends on any data, or so automatically that those processes are called as the independent processes. But here we are considering as the cooperating process because they are accessing the shared data. They are accessing the shared data. Whatever the data is used by one process, the same data is also be the used by the another process. Then those processes are called as the cooperating processes. For that reason, whenever we are using the cooperating processes, when they need to ensure that orderly execution, once they follow the orderly execution, those inconsistencies are eliminated. So automatically, this is the background of the process synchronization. Now we try to discuss about the solutions to the critical section problem. Already in the previous slides we discussed it is possible to provide the software as well as the hardware solutions. And whatever the solutions we are able to provide. For example, in the software solutions, there are n number of solutions are available. In the next classes, we discussed about the Peterson solution is one of the software solution, semaphores is one solution, and monitors is another software solution. Similarly, the hardware solutions, in our syllabus, we try to discuss about how to use the test and set and swap functions. These are the instruction level commands, how we are able to use those commands to achieve the process synchronization. So, in our syllabus itself, we are able to discuss about the two solutions using the hardware solutions and the three approaches for the software solution. But there are the n number of solutions are available. But whatever the solution we are able to use, that solution must satisfy the three requirements. So what are the requirements? Whenever we are saying that it is a solution for the process synchronization, that solution must satisfy the requirements. If any one of the requirements is not satisfied, that is not a solution. Now we try to understand what are the three requirements. The three requirements are, one is the mutual exclusion, and another one is the progress, and another one is the bounded waiting. We try to discuss about the first one is the mutual exclusion. So what is the mutual exclusion? The definition clearly given. If a process PA is executing in its critical section, then no other processes can be executing in their critical sections. And what is the meaning of this one? At any instant of time, only one process is allowed to enter its critical section. If one process is executing in the critical section, then no other process is executing in their critical section. That itself indicates that at any instant of time, only one process is allowed to execute its critical section, then automatically the data inconsistency problems never arise. When the data inconsistency problems arise, if more than one process modify the shared data at a time, but the algorithm satisfy the mutual exclusion indicates that at any instant of time, only one process is allowed to enter its critical section. So automatically, if any algorithm satisfy the mutual exclusion, then automatically the critical section problem is possible to eliminate. So they automatically provide the consistent results. Now we try to discuss about the second condition, progress. What is the progress? The progress says that if no process is executing in its critical section and there exist some processes that wish to enter their critical section, then the selection of the processes that will enter the critical section next cannot be postponed indefinitely. And what is the meaning of this one? If no process in the critical section and some processes wish to enter their critical section, one of those processes must be allowed. Which process to be allowed? If the algorithm is unable to decide, no one is allowed to enter their critical section, there is no use. If no process in the critical section and some processes wish to enter, but our algorithm is unable to decide, all are waiting to enter into the critical section, then automatically no process is allowed, all are in the waiting, there is no progress is existing. What is the progress? If some processes are waiting, one of those processes must be allowed. So automatically one is completed the critical section, later another one is allowed. In some order, those processes may complete their critical section execution. So the progress condition is also be required. If the progress condition is not satisfied, indicate that, so automatically our solution is not allowed any process to enter into the critical section. All are in the waiting state. So automatically there is no use. So all are in the waiting means everyone is waiting. We are unable to complete this process execution where the end user is unable to get the result. To overcome that one, if no process which is in the critical section and some processes are wish to enter their critical section, one of those processes must be allowed. To take that decision cannot be postponed indefinitely. Immediately we are allowed to one of the process to enter their critical section. That is the second requirement to the solution of whenever we are providing a solution to the critical section problem, it must satisfy the progress condition also. Now we try to discuss about the bounded waiting. What is the meaning of the waiting? A process wish to enter into the critical section. How long it need to wait? That there is a bounded. What is the meaning of the bound? We try to discuss. A bound must exist and the number of times that other processes are allowed to enter their critical section after a process has made a request to enter its critical section and before that request is granted. So that is nothing but if a process wish to enter its critical section, from that time onwards, how many times the other processes are allowed to enter their critical section. If there is no maximum limit, this process may wait indefinitely. So automatically this process is unable to get the resources. So if the bounded waiting condition is not satisfied, some processes may wait for a long period of time. That problem is called as the starvation. What is the starvation? If a process wish to enter its critical section, every time the other processes are allowed, this one is not allowed to enter its critical section, that problem is called as a starvation. To eliminate the starvation, there is a need of the bounded waiting condition. Let us discuss one example for the bounded waiting. For example, we are assuming that there are the three processes are existing. These processes named as the P1, P2, P3. We are assuming that there are the three processes. These are named as the P1, P2, P3. And P1 is the highest priority process. And P2 is the next highest priority process. And P3 is the least priority process. We are assuming that there are the three processes P1, P2, P3, and P3 is the least priority process compared to P1 is the highest, and the next highest priority process is the P2. For example, P1 process wish to enter its critical section. No process in the critical section, P1 is allowed to enter into the critical section. For example, at that time, P3 process wish to enter. If we are assuming that one algorithm, it simply satisfies the mutual exclusion. Is it allows the P3 process? What mutual exclusion says, at any instant of time, only one process to be allowed to enter its critical section. Already P1 is in the critical section. If P3 tries to enter, it is not allowed until P1 completed the critical section. For that reason, the algorithm is not allowed the P3. P3 is waiting to enter its critical section. For example, after some time, P2 process wish to enter. P1 is already in the critical section and P3 is waiting to enter its critical section. At that time, P2 process wish to enter its critical section. Then automatically P2 is also not allowed because P1 is already in the critical section. For example, so at that time, P2 and P3 processes are waiting. For example, P1 process completed the critical section execution. So once the P1 is completed the critical section execution, based on the progress condition, these are the two processes are waiting, P2 and P3. One of these process must be allowed to enter its critical section. But already we know that P2 is the highest priority compared to the P3. For that reason, P2 process is allowed to enter its critical section. P3 is waiting. After starting the waiting, P2 is requested. But after completion of the P1, P2 is allowed because P2 is the highest priority process. So under the P2 execution, at the time of the execution itself, P1 completed the remainder section and again P1 wished to enter into the critical section. So automatically at the time of P2 execution, P3 is waiting and P1 is waiting. Once the P2 is completed, P1 and P3, P1 is the highest priority process, then P1 is allowed to enter into the critical section. So automatically P1 is allowed, P3 is in the waiting state. For example, P2 process wish to enter into the critical section, that is P2 and P3 again in the ready queue. If P1 is completed the critical section execution, P2 and P3 are waiting. If the bounded waiting condition is not satisfied, it only allows the P2. For example, we are assuming that there is a bound at any process maximum one time is allowed. If there is a bound, then P3 must be allowed because once the P3 is started for waiting, P2 is allowed once. After that one P1 is allowed. Again P2 try to enter. After completion of the P3 only P2 must be allowed if the algorithm satisfies the bounded waiting. If the algorithm is not satisfying the bounded waiting, these two are repeatedly enter into the critical section. P3 is unable to enter. To overcome that one, that is to overcome this starvation problem, the bounded waiting is required. What is the bounded waiting phase? A bound must exist. What is the meaning of the bound? There is a maximum limit. Either the other processes is allowed one time or two times or 10 times. There must exist a maximum limit. Up to that time, this process, least priority process is wait. Once that bound is completed, then P3 must be allowed. The least priority process must be allowed before allowing the other processes already completed their limit. So that bounded waiting is a bound must exist on the number of times that other processes are allowed to enter their critical section after a process has made a request to enter its critical section and before that request is granted. For example, if the bound is 1, so only one time P2 is allowed. Second time before allow the P2, P3 must be allowed to enter its critical section. I hope you understand what are the requirements to the solutions of the critical section problem is. There are the three requirements. One is the mutual exclusion, and another one is the progress, and another one is the bounded waiting. What mutual exclusion says? The mutual exclusion clearly says that at any instant of time, only one process is allowed to enter its critical section. If already one process in the critical section, if some other process wish to enter, they are not allowed until the currently executing process is completed its critical section. So if the algorithm satisfies the mutual exclusion, then there is no possibility of the data inconsistency. So automatically mutual exclusion is sufficient to avoid the data inconsistency problems. And what is the requirement of the progress? For example, if our algorithm is not satisfying the progress, there is no process in the critical section, and some processes wish to enter, but no one is allowed to enter, there is no use. To overcome that one, any solution must satisfy the progress. That is, if no process in the critical section and some processes must wish to enter, one of those processes must be allowed to enter their critical section. This decision cannot be postponed indefinitely. So automatically if algorithm satisfies the progress, so one of the process, so in some order all the processes are completed their critical section execution. And what is the third requirement? The third requirement is the bounded waiting to avoid the starvation problem. For example, if the bounded waiting is not satisfied, some of the processes may wait for a long period of time to enter their critical section. To overcome that one, there must exist a bound to specify that how many times the other processes are allowed to enter their critical section. There exists a maximum limit. After completion, the least priority process is also be allowed to enter its critical section. So automatically bounded waiting is required to eliminate the starvation problem. So in today's session, we discussed about what is the need of the process synchronization. That is nothing but if more than one process try to modify the shared data, there is a possibility of the data inconsistency. For that purpose, we discussed with one example of the Kumar bank balance. At any instant of time, only one process, either the Kumar account to the merchant account transaction or the Sunil account to the Kumar account transaction, only one must be allowed. If both are allowed at a time, we get the data inconsistency problems. Next, we discussed about what are the requirements to the solutions to the critical section problem. That is nothing but the mutual exclusion, progress and bounded waiting. In the next class, we will discuss about the Peterson's solutions. Thank you.